Hey folks, it is Saturday in the booth, and we are going to do a shootout with shotgun mics, something that I don't use ever because I'm in a booth. Why do I say it like that? Because shotgun mics and booths are redundant. If you're in a booth and you're using shotgun mics, well, if you're in a broadcast style booth like this, or a whisper room, or a Studio Bricks, or something like that, um, the booth that you've spent a ridiculous amount of money on should be doing its job, and a shotgun mic is something that is redundant. The point of a shotgun mic is to only capture what is directly in front of it and nothing else. And they're fantastic if you have issues with exterior noise, like neighbors that want to mow their lawns at 9:30 at night, like they do here in Indiana, which is why I got a booth after I moved here. But anyways, I work where I work, and one of the reps picked up the brand Synco, and was like, "Hey, we got this shotgun mic, and you do voiceover work. Would you try this mic out?" And I was like, "I know this mic. So many people talk about the Synco D2." And he was like, "Would you try it?" And I was like, "I would be happy to. I love trying out gear. No one pays me to do this. I just love playing around with gear. I have to give it back. I don't get to keep any of it. I did a shootout with a bunch of condenser mics. I bought the Lewitt that I had to fall in love with. I didn't have to fall in love with, but I bought that mic. But anyways, so after I got the demo Synco here, I reached out to the Sennheiser rep and I was like, "Hey, I got this shotgun mic. Can I borrow some shotgun mics?" Because Sennheiser makes the MKH 416 and the MKE 600, which the 416 is arguably the most widely used shotgun mic on the planet, and the MKE 600 is a much more accessible shotgun mic that I don't think enough people know about, especially considering how close in price it is to the Synco D2. So I was like, well, let's do a shootout. So here we are. I'm talking through the Loughton Atlantis, which is my standard booth mic in here, but I'm going to pop this fella out of the way in a minute, and we're going to be hot jacking. So I turned off, I'm running through my normal 500 series rig outside of the booth here. I turned off the compressor, I turned off the de-esser, so it is just the preamp. It is the Cranborn Audio Camden 500 mic pre, with the same amount of gain that I pump through this. So we will, hopefully it's enough, it should be enough gain for this, because it's enough gain for this. And we'll see what it is. And while I go through the mics, I'll probably give you some little tidbits about noise floors and what each one is sporting, and we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting, because one's a big boy and one's the little guy. But some pretty big names sport the little guy, and some pretty big names sport the big guy. So we'll go. and I just keep talking. And you're like, shut up, AJ, do the thing. So we're going to do that. All right. Move you out of the way. Move that out of the way. All right, we're going to hot jack because everybody loves it when people hot jack. So what I mean by hot jack is I'm not doing anything, no magic, reaching out and changing settings on a knob. So what you hear is exactly the same gain settings, same volume settings, no change in tone settings, no magic compression. I don't have some magic trained monkey outside the booth fiddling with knobs. It's just me. It's almost midnight in the studio. Everybody else in the house is asleep. My wife hates me because I do this on Saturday nights, but this is where I get my best work done. So here we go. We're going to start with everything here is a hang 10 away. So depending on where the element actually sits in the tube is up to manufacturer. But end of the mic, hang 10 away. All right, here we go. Starting with the big boy, the MKH 416 from Sennheiser. This fella. Boop. Okay, here is the Sennheiser MKH 416. It's a $1,000 microphone, hypercardioid. This is the industry standard for shotguns. 13 dB self noise. Yeah, so the idea with shotguns is you see all the slots on the side. If you catch the reflection on this, the idea is it's they call it an interference tube. So essentially the air travels down, or the sound waves travel down, and as you move this way, oh no, the sound has completely changed. So the idea is that it's only really catching what it's pointed at. So originally these were designed for location sound. So when you watch behind the scenes for movies and TV shows, you have the guy with a giant boom arm that's got his headphones on and he's pointing the giant thing. Oh, I'm a Yeti. Good fun. Anyways, I'm sure Mike Cunningham is covered in a lot more fur than I am. Hi, Mike. That they're using these types of mics because they're pointing that microphone at the people that are talking, and that's the whole idea, that the microphone's only picking up what it's pointing at. So when you're like this, it's like, the traffic is out there, and it's really not, they can mix that out in post because it's faded out in the background. So this actually sounds pretty good. So I can understand, it's not really like, I've really got to push. Ooh, there it was. I really had to push for plosives to pick up. And I mean, these come with some pretty hefty wind screens to go over them. So you can use that. I know a lot of audiobook people like to use these for that reason. So that makes a lot of sense. So you can get right up on there and have some fun with that. I know when I was talking to the Sennheiser rep, he was talking about the 8060. They've got one of those coming for me to try out. I am told the 8060 is essentially, think of that as the reimagining of the 416. Essentially, if they were to remake the 416 today with all of today's tech and parts, the 8060 is what the 416 would be today if they could redo it. But that's also like $600 more. So keep that in mind if you're shopping for these things. But this sounds pretty good. All right, so I'm going to hop from that. I'm going to skip the Synco because I'm going to move down in price point. Not all the way down, just down to the next step. So $1,000 sounds pretty good. Okay, so we're going to go to the MKE 600. Okay, MKE 600. Yeah, okay. There we are. MKE 600 sounds a little warmer, right? So let me actually going to drop this down a little bit. So this one is interesting. It's a bit different, and there's actually there's a couple things that make this different. So they made this to be more of a mobile type of shotgun mic. So it's got a different type of mount. So you can make this. It has a shoe mount for a camera. So and it's you can make it a little shorter. It's got a shoe mount for a camera. So with that, there's actually if I try to unscrew this, it's got a battery compartment. So you can run this on a single AA battery up to 10 hours on a single AA battery, which is kind of cool. So you can be out in the wild with a shotgun mic, a powered shotgun mic. So if you are not anywhere near an outlet and you need phantom power, that's kind of cool. This is also the only one that is a supercardioid, not a hypercardioid. So the polar pattern's different. So it picks up things a little differently. So you can notice that when I face this way, it picks up a little bit more. So as far as shotgun mics go, it picks up more of the ambient stuff, the ambient. I'm not going to get too fancy. Ambiance. Not going to get too fancy with that. But it also, notice how I said it's a little warmer. This also has a low frequency roll off. So that just took some of the low frequency off. So there's the low frequency roll off. And then you can turn the battery on and off on here. So like, you probably can't see that my finger's glowing green, but it just tells me that the power is on. And it'll start flashing red. If the battery is going low, it'll tell you how much power is left, which is kind of nifty. 15 dB self noise if you're using phantom power. 16 dB self noise with a battery. Let's see. Low cut built in. Price point $329. $1,000, $329. Sennheiser for $329. A Sennheiser shotgun that you can mount to a camera for $329. That you can operate with a battery or use phantom power. I did not put the battery in here. Bloop, 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 bloop. No, that's just going to spin. I am not going to do that because I don't want to kink up the cable. Maybe I can take a picture and put it in like the picture maybe in the window. I don't know. I could prove it to you if you need me to, but there's no battery in there because that would be redundant. Anyways, camera shoe mount, supercardioid instead of hypercardioid. Have fun. If you're not having fun, what's the point? We get into this to have fun. If we were into this to make money, you probably shouldn't have got into this. All right, so that's the MKH 600. Now, we'll get into the Synco D2. The Synco D2. The Synco D2. Synco D2. It doesn't sound bad. And it rejects quite well. It rejects pretty dang well. I think it rejects just as well as the 416. I think it rejects quite well. In comparison to 416, I think it's pretty solid. Pretty solid. Yeah, $199. $199. $9.99. $199. $9.99. $199. For now. Mass-produced China. Also, I believe, well, no, they're making them in Germany. I think they're still making them in Germany. If they're still making them in Germany, I'll have to check that. If they're still making them in Germany, should still be $9.99 for a while. Right now, $199, mass-produced China. That price may go up. Okay. I'm not putting a lot into that for the plosives. Does come with a windscreen. Didn't have to put a lot into that for the plosive. So I imagine the element is not very far down this tube. I'll check the schematics to see how far down that tube it is. It might not be very far down that tube in comparison to the 416, but we'll see. I didn't check that on there. But this is a pretty well-known mic. I know when I mentioned this in the Microphone Insider group that a lot of people pretty much perked up and they were like, hey, yeah, tell us about this. Also, self-noise, when I was looking up all the specs, 12 dB self-noise, which is the lowest self-noise of the three. Close second with 13 dB self-noise. But the Synco D2, really well known for the entry-level shotgun mic and getting the job done. Which was why I was really, really, really excited to do this shootout, because for something to come in at that price point and everybody jumping up and down going, yeah, absolutely, $200 shotgun that everybody would recommend. I had to. I absolutely had to, especially being a brand that the place that I work for does not carry. So I never had access to it. But we might soon. Maybe. Tonight is part of the road to maybe have that. We'll see. We'll see. But it's impressive so far. The plosive thing might be a thing. But that's mic control. Know how to deal with your microphones. I don't deal with shotguns ever. But that's a thing. It doesn't sound bad though. I'm going to move this. That sounds neat. Moving mic stands out from each other. I am going to get these fellas a little closer to each other. And okay, so $199 Synco D2. $999 Sennheiser MKH 416. So the 416's a little brighter, a little crisper, a little cleaner. Definitely, okay, so there's the rejection, rejection, reject, reject, reject. Okay, there's that. And okay, I'm putting a good amount of air into that. I'm going to pop back over. $9.99 Sennheiser MKH 416. Synco D2. Man, that other than it being a little warmer, rejection, meh. That's actually it's really not bad. For the price point, it's impressive. It really is. Yeah, it can definitely it can give it a run. And I'm going to plug the 600 back in because it's only fair. Boop. The only thing I don't like about the 416 is the mount, is the clip, because the rubber, it's got a more of a flexible shoe. That flex mount is tough. It doesn't angle like a classic mount, so you gotta futz with it a little bit. So we're gonna go back to the MKE 600. MKE 600. See, you know what? When I switch back to it like that, I do have that the low frequency cut engaged on it, so it sounds a little bit better that way. It's that rejection. That rejection is not. It's not as good. Rejection's not as good, but still not bad. It's still doing what a shotgun microphone is supposed to do, but being the super cardioid instead of the hypercardioid, it's just not doing it as much. I know that might have been Troy. Troy Holden is is that what you were wondering or curious about? That might have been just because the difference in the polar pattern there. But it's not a bad sounding mic, especially for the, you know, 329. It's not a big jump from the D2. Um, um, so it's taken a little bit more air for the plosives to kick than the Synco. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. So it's handling the plosives a little bit better than the Synco. And there are some construction things. So the Synco and the 416 have a slotted grill to them, where the 416 has more of a traditional mesh grill. And then the rejection things, I mean, they can do all sorts of weird patterns in them, and I don't, as long as they're vented, they can do polka dots for all they care. I don't think it matters all that much as long as they're vented, but I'd be interested to take a look at the specs and see how far back the elements are in each of these, because I bet you that'll have something to do with it as well. But yeah, I mean, you can listen to these, throw on a good pair of cans so you can kind of hear these better. I know some people prefer to listen to them in a good pair of speakers, but I feel like when you're doing critical listening with microphones, good pair of cans goes a long way. But yeah, that's what I got. Yeah. Hope this was somewhat educational for you. I could go on and on. I bet you are probably bored or you probably turned this off. But love you. If you got questions, hit me. If you want to hear some other weird shootout from someone who doesn't get paid in gear, I know there are tons of people on YouTube and TikTok that do get paid by somebody to do these. And they sit on massive piles of gear from manufacturers where they're like, here, have this free gear to look on our stuff favorably. Yeah, I get to borrow this stuff and I have to give it back because I just like to play with gear. Yeah, so if there's microphones that you want me to play with, let me know. And I'll try to my best to get my hands on them and have some fun. Have a great night. Love you. See you later.